While Rome burned in the west, an empire in the east endured for another 1,000 years, guarding classical civilization behind the greatest walls ever built. This is the story of the Byzantine Empire. In 330 AD, Emperor Constantine I dedicated a new capital on the site of ancient Byzantium, calling it New Rome. History would remember it as Constantinople. In 395, the Roman Empire was permanently divided between two sons of Theodosius. The western half would collapse within a century, the eastern half would not. In 476, the last Western Roman emperor was deposed, but in Constantinople, Roman law, Roman titles, and Roman government continued uninterrupted for centuries more. In 527, Justinian I became emperor, determined to restore Rome's lost glory and reconquer the western provinces that had fallen to Germanic kingdoms. His wife Theodora, a former actress of humble birth, became one of history's most powerful empresses, championing women's rights and steadying the throne during the deadly Nika riots. Justinian rebuilt the Hagia Sophia after the riots destroyed its predecessor, creating the largest cathedral in the world, an engineering marvel that would stand for nearly 1,500 years. He also commissioned the Corpus Juris Civilis, a sweeping codification of Roman law that would shape legal systems across Europe for centuries to come. Justinian's general Belisarius reconquered North Africa from the Vandals and much of Italy from the Ostrogoths, briefly restoring the Mediterranean as a Roman lake. But triumph turned to catastrophe. The plague of Justinian struck in 541, killing perhaps a quarter of the empire's population and crippling its ability to hold the reconquered West. By the early 600s, the empire faced near collapse against Persia. Emperor Heraclius launched a daring counter-offensive deep into Persian territory, saving the empire at its darkest hour. Exhausted by decades of war with Persia, Byzantium had no strength left to resist the sudden rise of the Arab Caliphate, which stripped away Syria, Egypt, and North Africa within a generation. Constantinople itself was besieged by Arab fleets, saved in part by Greek fire, a terrifying incendiary weapon whose exact formula remained a closely guarded state secret. In the 700s and 800s, the empire tore itself apart over iconoclasm, a religious controversy over whether venerating religious images was holy devotion or idolatry. The Macedonian dynasty, beginning with Basil I in 867, ushered in a golden age of military resurgence, legal reform, and a flowering of art and learning. Basil II, called the Bulgar Slayer, crushed the Bulgarian Empire after decades of war, expanding Byzantine borders to their greatest extent in centuries. Byzantine diplomacy became legendary for its sophistication, using marriage alliances, tribute, and elaborate court ceremony to manage rivals the empire could not defeat by force alone. Byzantine missionaries converted the Slavic peoples and Kievan Rus to Orthodox Christianity, spreading Byzantine culture, script, and religion across Eastern Europe for centuries to come. In 1054, growing theological and political differences between Rome and Constantinople culminated in the Great Schism, permanently splitting Christianity into Catholic and Orthodox branches. Disaster struck in 1071 at the Battle of Manzikert, where Seljuk Turks captured the Byzantine emperor himself and shattered imperial control over Anatolia, the empire's heartland. Alexios I Komnenos stabilized the crumbling empire and appealed to Western Christendom for military help, a call that would set off the First Crusade in 1096. Relations with the Crusaders were fraught from the start, mixing military cooperation with deep mutual suspicion between Latin Catholic knights and Greek Orthodox Byzantines. In 1204, the unthinkable happened. Crusaders diverted from their original goal and sacked Constantinople itself, looting its treasures and shattering the empire into rival fragments. A Latin empire was installed in Constantinople, while Byzantine successor states in Nicaea, Epirus, and Trebizond fought to preserve Greek identity and reclaim the capital. In 1261, Emperor Michael VIII Palaiologos recaptured Constantinople and restored the Byzantine Empire, though it never recovered its former wealth or territorial reach. The Palaiologan era saw a remarkable cultural renaissance in art and scholarship, even as the empire's political and military power steadily contracted around a shrinking territory. Meanwhile, a new power was rising in Anatolia, the Ottoman Turks, who steadily absorbed Byzantine territory until the empire controlled little beyond Constantinople itself. Devastating civil wars between rival Byzantine claimants in the 1300s further drained the empire's strength, even as Ottoman power grew relentlessly on its borders. Desperate emperors traveled to Western Europe seeking military aid, even offering to reunite the Orthodox and Catholic churches, but substantial help never arrived in time. In 1453, Sultan Mehmed II laid siege to Constantinople with a massive army and revolutionary cannons capable of breaching walls that had stood for over 1,000 years. On May 29, 1453, the city fell. Emperor Constantine XI reportedly died fighting in the streets. The Byzantine Empire, the last living link to ancient Rome, was extinguished. Byzantine scholars fled west, carrying ancient Greek manuscripts, helping ignite the Renaissance in Italy and preserving classical knowledge that might otherwise have been lost forever. Justinian's legal code became the foundation of civil law systems across continental Europe, a legal legacy still traceable in modern legal codes today. Orthodox Christianity, Byzantine art, and the Cyrillic script it inspired remain foundational to the identity of Russia, Greece, and much of Eastern Europe to this day. Byzantine architecture, with its soaring domes and glittering mosaics, influenced church design from Venice to Moscow, its aesthetic echoing across 1,000 years of sacred art. Moscow would later claim the mantle of a third Rome, and the last Byzantine princess married into the Russian royal family, carrying Byzantine imperial symbolism into a new era. For over 1,000 years after Rome fell in the West, Byzantium kept the classical world alive. Its fall closed the medieval era, but its legacy in law, faith, and art endures to this day.